So let's apply what we've used on torques here to this problem. So what I have here is some surface, and there's a bolt into the surface for some reason. And so we have a wrench. Okay, and so here we have the head of the wrench that goes over the head of the bolt. All right, and then so off of the center, here's the center going relative to the bolt and relative to the head of the wrench. And 2 inches off of that, we have a hinge. And then that's going off, this arm is going off at 30 degrees at 6 inches long. And you'll see I have a circle with an X through it. So that represents what? It says that's a force going in. Okay, these are the tail feathers of an arrow, so it's going in, like so. And so we're told that it takes 80 foot-pounds, or this is, once again, whether you call this is torque in American units, whether you say foot-pounds or pound-feet, nobody cares, okay? Now, in the metric world, you would always say it's something like Newton meters. It's always force, then distance. In the States, it can be anything, all right? So, bottom line, I don't care. All right. So, this is the torque we need to move the bolt, and so the question is how much force does it take to accomplish that torque? All right. So let's just start by looking at our geometry we have here. So this is 3 inches in the air. We need to know this distance. So the force is applied here. All that matters is the perpendicular distance. So we can move the force down to, so here's that force. We can just kind of move it down to here, essentially, and go, okay, what's this distance? From here to here, or we can just view it across here to get to that center line of the bolt. All right, so it's 2 inches, so I just need to know that distance, and I'll just note that the tangent of 30 degrees is equal to the opposite over the adjacent, so 3 over, let's just call that distance A. Solve for A, come up with A equals 5.196. No problem. So then this distance from here to there is 5.196 plus 2. So total distance for the torque this is applying would be 7.196, but that's in inches. Okay. Notice our moment needs to be in foot-pounds, not inch-pounds. That's another unit. It's viable, but it's not what this is in. So we need to convert this into feet. So we divide by 12 inches per foot, and that works out to 0.6 feet. All right. So now we know we need a torque of 80. All right. And so we've got a force, and then times 0.6 of a foot, divide through, we come up with force equals 133.33 pounds. All right. Now, you might be going, some of you, why would you have a wrench that has a hinge like that? Well, if you're having to work in tight spaces, suppose there's another piece of machinery right in here. So having a nice long straight wrench isn't necessarily possible. So that's why they make these things. So there's a good reason for that. All right. Now, if we were to do this again and say, well, what would happen if you could have this whole 6 inches of this arm all the way out? Okay. What would happen if that could be done? Well, then you would have 80 would equal force, and then it would be 8 on 12. So that would be 0.666 instead of 0.6 feet. And if you did that, then force would be 120 pounds in that case. Take a little less force. Longer moment arm, that's your mechanical advantage. All right. Now, let me ask you a question here. So notice what we had in this wrench. We had a 6-inch arm coming down at 30 degrees. It was 2 inches to the center. And relative to where this hinge is, that's 1 inch above where we're applying this torque on this thing. All right. So let me ask you, what is this moment? which corresponds to 133.33. So for this original position, times 4 inches on divide by 12 to put it into feet, which would then be 44.4 foot-pounds. Why would I care about that? Where does that apply? Well, notice this is 1 inch plus 3 inch. So I would have to here 4 inches. So applying a force, let's bring this down, applying a force here, let's do it this way, applying a force here relative to this base. What is that trying to do? Well, that's called the stripping torque. And what it's trying to do is over here rip the head off the screw. It's trying to strip this top edge of that bolt. Okay? So when you're designing a bolt, you have to, these are things that you would actually consider. You need a hard enough material that it can withstand that stripping action, as all of that torque will be trying to rip off that back edge there. So, another thing to consider. Now note that if you bring this down to here, if that could have been the full 8 inches here, now you just have 8 times 1, or so 1/12 of a foot. Your stripping torque would be dramatically reduced. So these are some design considerations you would have. So for this case here that we did right there, you'd have had 120. So notice what you have. If this could have been straight, instead of 133, you'd have 120 pounds. Okay, and then the stripping torque, M strip, would be 120, and then the distance is 1/12, so it's only 10 foot-pounds. Less than a fourth of what it was in this case. All right, now we got to move on to another thing that's kind of intriguing. We're going to be taking a look at what's called a couple moment. So, for that, I'll draw a little picture. And I'll put a little thing inside of it. Close enough. Have you ever seen something that looks a bit like this? I guess it looks a bit like a hubcap, but what it can remind you of a steering wheel. But what I really have more in mind is a valve wheel or a brake wheel on a train car. So if you look at a freight car, in the old days, you would always see a wheel like this that was mounted somewhere along the car, and typically coming off of it, then there was this chain, and it would go down under the car. And so what this would do is that a person could grab onto this, and they would rotate it, and that would pull the brake. Okay. Then you could also see in old power plants massive valves that would have a valve wheel on it. This would allow a person to come and grab and close or open the valve. Okay, so how did you use one of these things? Well, in the obvious way, this is meant to be a handle all around here, and so you put your hand on, and basically on opposite sides, and one side of one hand goes up and the other one goes down as you look to rotate this in an appropriate direction, whichever is appropriate. So if you look at the forces here, we're applying forces that are equal, they're parallel, but but they're opposite in direction. And if you look at these things, they're not collinear. All right. So that's what a couple moment consists of. It consists of pairs of forces that are applied that are equal, parallel, opposite in direction, and not collinear. And as a result, in this case, they would make this thing want to rotate this way. So there we would get a counterclockwise or positive torque. All right. Well, motors actually work on this principle. The whole idea is you have magnets and stuff in the motor that make it work, and all the magnets combine to create all of these equal and opposite forces, just like this. So depending on the number of magnets, you could get forces here, and a force matching there, and a force there, and a force there. And so all of these are called couple moments that do what? Make the motor spin. All right? So we want to analyze the torque associated with a couple moment. And so to do that, number my page, move on to the next. So let's just envision that wheel we were just looking at and just break it down into its parts that are critical. So I'll have two sides. Let's call it A and B. Here's the center, we'll call that O. And I apply a force here, and I apply a force there. Equal, opposite, parallel, not collinear. Okay, fine. So what is the torque? Well, if I let's let this distance be A, we'll let that distance be little a. So if I looked at the torque about O, I have F times A and another F times A, so I have 2AF is the torque. All right, no problem. This is computing this at O. Well, let's compute this at A. Let's compute the torque at A. And so the force here goes right through A, so this exerts no torque. This force, though, is 2A away. So if we compute the torque at A, we'd have this force is a distance 2A. It's doing the same counterclockwise, so I get 2AF again. Well, likewise, if we computed the torque at B, we'd have F times 2A going counterclockwise. That'd be the torque at B. It's interesting. Well, let's go off some distance here. And we'll go off a distance here, A, again. All right, because this was a wheel. So if I went to the top of the wheel, so here I have these two forces, and they're creating a torque. What is the effective torque at this point? All right, well, it's actually just, again, 2AF. How do I know that? Well, let's look at this force. What's the torque about? So let's call this point C. All that matters is the perpendicular distance, F times A. This distance A is parallel to the force. It does nothing. You'd get this cross this gives 0. Likewise over here, I have the force times the perpendicular distance associated with point C, but this is parallel to F, so it just doesn't matter. So here's the thing that's really kind of cool. And that's a really ugly circle, but get used to my lousy drawings. There's a confidence circle. All right. I could compute the torque anywhere I wanted on this, including if I, let's say I just welded a little plate onto this thing like so, put this big finger on this, I can compute the torque on here. So if I just welded a plate and extended that circle out, no matter where you go, due to a couple moment, the torque is the same everywhere. And that makes sense. Why? Because when this valve wheel rotates, it all rotates together. It all moves as one unified part, because it is one unified part. And since all the parts are moving together, they're all under the exact same torque. Okay? That's the critical point here. When you're dealing with a couple moment, you can compute the moment anywhere you want. Here, there, anywhere. Take that answer, and it's the same no matter where you check. You can go anywhere, and you get the same torque. That is a couple moment. All right, we're going to stop this video there, and I'm going to come back, and we'll do an example with a couple moment, but this is starting to get a bit long in the tooth, and we can all take a break. We have 2 more videos, I believe, to finish this chapter. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye now.